like, thank God we don't have to use those anymore. But anyways, so Meg Cabot thought that because the only exposure she'd had to periods is from this book that was written when women use these belted pads, she assumed that women still use them today. So she gets her period, and her mom hands her a tampon, and she has no idea what it is. She's just like never even seen anything like this, and she's like, "Where's my belted pad?" And this happened really recently, and I just think that's really funny because, I mean, it's kind of sad that she didn't know what it was, but the fact that she was so confused sort of cracks me up. There are a bunch of other funny stories. There's a story about an older sister that gets it before her younger sister, after her younger sister, and so she's so embarrassed by the fact that she gets it afterwards that she doesn't want to ask for any help. And I don't know if you guys have tried to put in a tampon without any help, but it can definitely be difficult. So what she ends up doing, because she refuses to ask and she's too proud, is she puts it in with the whole applicator, and she ends up just making sort of like a fool of herself, and her younger sister ends up helping her out in the end, but that one's also pretty funny. Cool. So, I don't know, are there any stories that you guys have heard that are really funny? So someone just asked me whether or not I still have my period. And yes, I definitely do. In fact, I got it last week. And, you know, it's kind of funny. Like, when I first got my period, I was super happy because it meant that I fit in with all the other girls. And then I started thinking it was a huge pain and messy, and it would always come at the wrong time. And now I like it again. It's just sort of a reminder that everything is functioning properly and that I'm healthy. And yeah, it's grown on me, and I bet you guys that it will grow on you too, actually. I think for a lot of older women, do you guys know what menopause is? Has anybody heard of menopause? So menopause is when you stop having your period. And a lot of women, when they stop having their period, are really sad because they miss their period because they ended up liking it so much. So I'm starting to understand how women can feel that way, because before I was so confused and couldn't wait for that day. So someone just asked two questions that I think are on a lot of girls' minds. When will I start? So that's the first question. And that is really hard to say. The Being Girl website has this cool function where you can predict when your next period has come after you've had your first period. But in terms of predicting your first period, that's a little trickier. And I think some doctors can give a more accurate prediction based on your weight and your age and your development, but it's hard to say. I mean, it's totally different for every girl. For some girls, it happens as early as 8, and other girls it happens when they're 17. So there's a huge range. I got mine when I was 13, so somewhere in the middle. So someone else just said, is there something wrong with me? I haven't started yet, and I'm 11. So absolutely not. Periods can happen at any time, and I think there are still probably a lot of girls around you that haven't gotten their period yet. So yeah, I wouldn't be worried at all. So someone else just said I haven't gotten mine and I'm 14. And yeah, totally. What this other girl has just said, it starts when your body is ready. And it's hard to predict when that will happen. But yeah, the only thing you can really do is to be prepared for when it does happen. So to carry around a pad with you, or an extra sweatshirt, or to keep that in your locker. Yeah. So, I don't know if you guys have any more questions. If not, I will read. Oh, I just got another question that I like. What was my scariest? Do you mean what was my scariest story that I've gotten, or what is my own scariest period experience? Okay, and someone else just asked another good question. So what are the signs of you're getting ready to start? And this is something that I think can definitely be handled more scientifically and accurately by Iris on the Being Girl website. But just from my personal experience, I can say that if you see discharge, that's a sign that your period will probably be coming. If you feel cramps, although if you've never gotten your period before, you might not recognize them as cramps. You'll probably just think they're stomach aches. If you feel weird mood swings, those are all signs of just getting a period, and they'll happen for the first time when you get your first period. So yeah, that's all that I can say, because that's sort of all that I felt. So what's the scariest story that I've had? I like this question. Well, there's one girl that gets her period when she's on vacation, and she goes snorkeling. And she's underwater, she's dived in, the boat is far away, and she sees this fin approaching her. And then she looks down, and she notices that there is blood in the water, and she has no idea where it's coming from. And all of a sudden, she puts two and two together and realizes that she must have just gotten her first period. So it's this sort of Jaws moment and a Jaws scene. And she takes a second look and then realizes that it's a dolphin. But for those 2 minutes, she was freaked out. And I think that is a pretty scary story. So someone else just asked, what do I tell my boyfriend? So how do I tell my boyfriend about my first period? First, congratulations on having a boyfriend. I think that depends. I didn't have a boyfriend when I had my first period, so I can't tell you from personal experience, but I imagine you would tell him the way you would tell your friend. And I guess it depends on how you feel about your period. If you're pumped that you got it, you can tell him that you have some exciting news to share and you want to celebrate. I don't know if you guys want to go out for a meal or just watch a movie or whatever, or if you are annoyed by it, you can complain to him about it. I mean, it totally depends on how you feel about it, and if you guys are willing, and if you guys talk a lot about personal things. So yeah. So someone else just asked whether or not they will smell bad, and this is something that women feel differently about, what a period smells like. Every woman's period smells differently, and I would say personally that I think bad is not quite the right word to use. I think I think from personal experience there is a kind of distinct period smell, and I don't think that's necessarily bad. It just is what it is. But I think everybody also kind of smells differently, so it's hard to say. But if you ask Iris, she'll probably give you a really technical answer as to why it is that we smell the way we do and what that's coming from and what that is. So as someone was just mentioning, there are a bunch of products out there that have scented tampons or scented pads to sort of cover that smell. And some girls use them, some girls don't. Some girls don't mind it, some do. So it's all up to you. So I'm trying to understand this last question here. So someone else just asked, will your period have an odor to it, especially if you keep your pad on too long or shower every day? I think all that I can say, and this is advice that I can give to everybody, is that during your period it's definitely important to keep clean. So showering will just reduce all types of odors, and you should definitely be changing your pad too regularly. And that's not something just for odors. You should just be doing that because that's how